Question 7. Okay, so we're dealing now with a 3D trig question. In the diagram, S, T, and K lie in the same horizontal plane. RS is a vertical tower. The angle of depression from R to K is beta, TSK is alpha, TS equals P meters, and the area of STK triangle is Q meters squared. Okay, first of all, very, very, very important statement here. Same horizontal plane, everybody, means on the floor, okay? Flat on the ground. And then a vertical tower means directly up from the ground, which immediately makes this 90 and this 90. They're being very nice with this question and they've given us those 90s, but sometimes they do not give you those 90s. So it is your responsibility to know that anything that is vertically up from a horizontal plane immediately makes a 90 degree or is perpendicular. Okay, cool. Let's get started. So determine the length of SK in terms of PQ and alpha. Cool. So SK is over here and we're wanting to work out that. So we've got P, we've got alpha, we're looking for SK. We know that this, okay, so obviously this is parallel to that. So we know that this is beta. Okay, and we can get SK through that. No, we can't. Let's rather use, let's have a look, see. We have STK's area. Very important. Okay, so if we have the area, we know that the area rule, everybody, works with the side angle side scenario. Okay, so area rule is equal to a half AC sine of B. Okay, and just the scenario that we in question here, we are looking at, let me drop this down a bit, the side angle side scenario. So if this is my triangle, A, B, C, small a, small b, small c, in order for you to be able to use area rule, you would need this angle and the two sides that make up the angle. Okay, so side, angle, side. Cool, and we do have that. Okay, so let's make our equation. We've got the area of STK, which is Q, and that is equal to a half times A, let's call that P, times by SK, sine of alpha. And now we just make SK the subject of the formula. So times both sides by 2. So it's going to be 2Q over P sine alpha equals SK. Okay, that's me just manipulating the formula and getting SK by itself. So the timesing by 2 got rid of the half. So times by 2 times by 2. And then just taking the P and the sine of alpha below the fraction line because it's timesing by my SK, so I have to divide. Okay, 7.1 finish. 7.2, show that RS is equal to 2Q tan beta all over P sine alpha. Okay, so what we are going to do now, we're looking for RS. Now, remember guys, the trig rules are designed for non-right angled triangles. When we are dealing with a right angle triangle, we are going to use our normal SOHCAHTOA, okay? Because that's a lot easier than using the rules, right? So let's see. We've got SK now. Let's put it in here. 2Q over P sine of alpha. I've got enough information to work out RS. I'm looking for RS, which is my opposite. I've got my angle, and I've got my adjacent. So which trig function deals with opposite and adjacent? Tan. So tan of beta equals RS over 2Q P sine of alpha. And then I'm just going to times both of them. So RS is therefore equal to, so bringing this up, I'm timesing. So it's going to be 2Q tan beta all over P sine of alpha. Okay, and that is 7.2 done. Now we are just going to do 7.3, which looks like a basic substitution. So they're asking us to calculate the size of alpha if alpha is less than 90, so it's an acute angle. RS is equal to that, P is equal to that, Q is equal to that, and B is equal to that. Okay, so with the information given here, it makes sense for me to use this formula because I can substitute everything in and then solve for alpha. So RS is going to be 70. Q is 2,500. So 2 times 2,500. Tan of 42, which is beta, all over P, which is 80, sine of alpha, which is what I'm trying to solve for. Okay, so let's bring that 80 sine alpha up. So we're going to say 70 is going to times by the 80 sine alpha, which equals 5,000 tan of 42. 70 times 80 is 5,600. Sine alpha equals 5,000 tan 42. Therefore, sine of alpha equals, let's just do the math here. So it's going to be 5. I'm going to write it out so you guys know what to put in your calculator. 5,000 tan of 42 all over 5,600. And you know what? You don't even have to work that out. You can actually go straight into saying, therefore, alpha is equal to sine or shift that of this whole thing. Why I say that's good? Because you restrict yourself from making an error of making a decimal issue or something like that. So shift sine, let's see what it gives me. Shift sine of 5,000 tan of 42 all over 5,600. And that gives me 53. Therefore, alpha equals 53,51. And that is a solid answer. Okay. That wasn't too bad, actually. The 3D trig with this one wasn't too bad. We didn't have to use cos rule, and that's normally a delight. But we did have to use area rule, and then we didn't even have to use sine rule here. So it was just the area rule, and then SOHCAHTOA, and then just substitution. Good. Next.